Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create an interior for a colouring book, and this is just one way to do it, but this is one way that I found really simple, and you don't actually have to draw anything yourself or hire an artist. So these are called mandalas, and you can download them from Pixabay or from Creative Fabrica, as I will show you in a second. So on Pixabay, you just search mandala, that's M-A-N-D-A-L-A, and you can download any of these that are transparent, and they will work absolutely perfect for this method of creating colouring books. So you can see there's loads of different ones on here, but if you want more of a selection, then go over to Creative Fabrica and you can download the bundles. If you have a membership plan, then of course you don't need to pay the individual price every single time, and you can just download an unlimited amount of mandalas. We're starting to create the interior for our colouring book. So what it's going to be is 25 pages on 8.5 by 11 paper. And the cover was set to 50 pages, but that's going to be in the next video. But basically you want to leave a page in between each page that you create so that when people draw in their heavy markers and heavy pens, it doesn't bleed through onto the next design, because it's only one per double page, if you see what I mean. So what we're doing here is just trying to fill up the white space as much as possible while still trying to make the design look nice, because we're going to be adding some white text over the top. This is going to be a motivational colouring book for adults, so it's going to have a quote in the top, something like "Never give up." So we're just filling in the design with mandalas, which, as you know, you get from Pixabay and Creative Fabrica or anywhere else that you can seem to find them. So we're just adding these little stars in, which are really nice. And as you can see, the design is starting to come together. What you would want to do is make sure that each page is slightly different so that customers don't complain that they're just colouring in the same page every time with just a different quote. So these are really time intensive to make, but in the future I will be adding more videos to show you how to create colouring books in other ways as soon as I figure it out for myself as well. What I'm doing here is showing you why you're not using Canva to add the text, because there is no feature where you can add a drop shadow to your text, and there is no font that really looks that good with these colouring books. And we're just going to write some sort of motivational quote. So the one we're going to go for here is "Never give up," which is really nice, very motivational. So you put that in the middle, and here I'm just showing you the fonts. Now this is Canva Pro, of course, because I am on the free trial, but if you want other fonts, of course, Creative Fabrica has a lot more, but we're actually going to be using a website called Pixlr to add the font, because that gives us the drop shadow feature, which means we can use white text and it will still show up and be very clear. And because it's white text, people can colour it in. So this is the current strategy at the moment that I'm using for colouring books. Now obviously I can improve, and when I figure out how to make them look better, then I will be showing you that, of course, in the Royalty Accelerator course that we're on right here. So as you can see, there's a lot of text, there's a lot of different fonts in Canva Pro, but we're going to be using Pixlr. So let's delete that. What we want to do is save this image, because we're going to be uploading it to Pixlr. This is a free software, so go to pixlr.com/editor. Then you want to upload that image that you've just created. And as you can see, we're going to add the text here instead of with Canva because of that drop shadow feature. Hopefully you'll see what I mean in a second, but you can play around with the size. And here is the drop shadow feature. So you want to click on that little icon that I've just pressed there, and you want to click drop shadow. Of course, you need the text in white or grey or something that makes sure that you can still colour it in, but you can still see it on the background. So as you can see, the drop shadow is the black shadow in the background. So choose the font that you want to use. So in this one, we're going to go with Marker Felt. And as you can see, I'm just making it a little bit more grey so that it stands out a bit more against the background. So motivational colouring books and swearing colouring books are just two of the examples of colouring books that you could create with this mandala sort of design. So at the end of the next video, there will actually be a whole list of other colouring books that are hot right now that you can make with this sort of design technique. So we're just going to make sure that this writing is the right size and make sure it's central. And then we're going to actually go ahead and download it and put it back into Canva. So just have a play around until you think that it looks good. Of course, as with any design, as you do more and more, you'll get better. and I'm sure I will too. So just like when you were making the notebooks and journals back at the start, I'm sure that you have improved your design skills since then. So I'm really hoping to be able to make much better colouring books than the ones that I'm showing you here. And of course, as I say, I will show you how to do that when I learn. So save image, press OK, save that to your downloads. And what we want to do here, as you can see, is put this image back into Canva. So we're going to upload it. But remember that some of it would get cut off, so we don't want to leave it full size. So that is why I'm going to add a square here so we can act it as a border. You can find this square on Canva. You don't need to be on the pro trial. I use this very, very commonly on most of the books that I create in one way or another. So as you can see, we're just going to line this up. Make sure that we've not cut out any of our beautiful design. What I actually should have done with this text here is I should have made it way bigger and made never on one line and then give on one line and up on one line, and probably spread it across the whole design rather than just leaving it up there at the top. So we want to have the square perfectly central, and then we want to put the image to the back behind the square so that it's all lined up nicely. So we're grouping it together. And then we're going to make sure the entire thing is in the middle. Just going to check here whether we want to change the colour of the border, which we don't, so we just make sure that that's in the middle there. And that is now a finished page. So you need 25 different pages. It's pretty crucial to change the mandalas on each page, otherwise customers are going to start complaining that they're just colouring the same page in each time, which wouldn't be a lot of fun for them. So as you can see here, we're going to just create another page. But remember to leave a gap between each finished page that you create. So as you can see, we're going for a different approach here. We're just going to have one in the middle. As you can see, I didn't use that one because it was a really dark one with a really light one, so it just didn't complement each other very well. So what we're doing is we're going to add a darkish one. So we can add that there. And we're just going to add it above, below, and to the side. And we're going to see how this one turns out. Just have a play around until you think it looks great. Now, I don't think my design skills on colouring books at the moment are very good, so hopefully you'll be able to do better than me. So there you go. Put that central. I'm sure, however, that I would enjoy colouring this in if you gave me some pencils or some pens. It would be a very nice way to just sit down and relax, colour in these little tiny gaps and fill in a great colouring book to pass the time. Another mandala, we're just going to put these ones out of the way in the corner because hopefully that will look nice. What I do here is just flip the position, just to make sure that it's equal to the ones below it. So there you go, make sure it's all symmetrical. Add another one in that corner there, and you can see that the design is starting to come together a little. So there's still too much white space, however, that we're going to add some more little patterns into, if you just hold up for a second. So just test different things, see what you think will look nice. So we didn't choose to go for that one. This one. In the end, we choose to go with this one. So just copy this one 4 times. Make sure it's lined up to the previous one. And just get creative and use your imagination, and you can come up with so many different designs with these mandala patterns. So I actually will be showing you another thing that you can do with mandalas to make a different kind of colouring book later on in the video. And apologies that this one is so long, but there's just so much information to get across. So there you go, most of that white space is now filled up. So what we're doing is we're going to give this a different name so that it doesn't delete the previous one that we made. Press download, actually cancel that because we don't want to download the whole thing when we upload it back into Pixlr. So we just want the first page, so press download just the first page. Let's get rid of this one that we had earlier. So now we've uploaded the new pattern that we've made, we are going to add some text to it. So just choose some more motivational quotes. You are not your past, very deep. in the end we decide not to go with this one, and we instead go for a quote such as every setback is a setup for a comeback, which is a really nice motivational quote that I quite like. So we'll keep that one. Again, we'll change the colour to try and make sure that we can see it and that it's still colour inable. So that doesn't look great there, so we might need to change the text, but let's add a drop shadow as always. That's really helpful. Gives it some contrast. So you can change the size, change the font. I'm sure we'll do that in a second. Make sure that it's central. And if I was to do this again, I probably would use Creative Fabrica to get a really nice font, because some of these fonts just aren't that great. And for a colouring book, it's got to look pretty fancy if you're going to have hundreds and hundreds of people buying it, because with colouring books, we are trying to target the masses and reach those incredible ranks of 1,000 plus, while you'll be selling 20 or more books per day of that individual book. So I think that looks quite nice there in that font because it's quite prominent. So we'll leave that there. Again, I probably should have spread it more over the whole page and left some more space in between each line. But just mess around with the colour until it looks good. I think I actually should have left it white here, but in the end I just leave it kind of grey. So just have a play around until you're satisfied. So again, make sure that the image is central and the text is central. Press OK. And when you're happy with it, just click Save. And we're going to upload this image back into Canva. So again, we need to change the name because we don't want to be replacing any previous files that we've saved. So we get rid of this design, or leave it there for now, and what we'll do is copy that page. What I'm trying to do here is get the exact same border in the same size. So just take that previous page and we're going to try and ungroup it so that we can just take the border that we used. There you go, now it's separated. So we've got the border, we'll put that in the middle of the page. Like so. And then we want to get the design that we've made and just added the quote to. And we want to get this central and also behind the black border, but not cutting off any of the design that we've created. Wiggle the design around until it's perfectly in place and behind the border. And there you go, I think that looks quite nice, but what you need to do is leave a spare page in between each of those two designs that you've created so that there's no bleed through when the customer starts to colour in their book. So another thing that you can do with these mandalas is just leave an individual mandala on each page. So I will show you on Amazon an example of just a mandala colouring book. This is no quotes on here, this is just a very simple one mandala per page colouring book that you could make super easily. Far more easy in fact than the one that I've just been trying to create there. So let's click this one. 50 exquisitely detailed mandala designs. It's entirely possible that they've just taken these from Pixabay. So as you can see, make that a little bit bigger so it fits in the page. Choose another mandala. Of course, you can use all of these mandalas because they're all from Pixabay or Creative Fabrica, so they are copyright free. There you go, there's another one that you could colour in, and that would look beautiful when it was coloured in some nice felt tip pens. So let's have another page just to show you an example. So there you go, of course you would leave a gap in between each page. As you can see, the rank on this one is 16,000, which is absolutely fantastic, and there's just one per page. So that's absolutely incredible. They look really nice when they're coloured in, as you can see there. So that is two examples of colouring books that you can create. And as you can see here, I've just edited it to highlight the fact that you want to leave one blank page in between each page to avoid that bleed, because there's always a lot of customer complaints in the reviews if people don't leave a page in between each design. So of course you wouldn't put these two types of books together, you would make a full quote notebook or just a full individual mandala notebook. So now I'm going to show you some of the motivational colouring books for adults right here on Amazon. So as you can see here, this one. The font looks a little bit better than ours, but if you were to use Creative Fabrica, you could get something just like that, and it's only a small monthly subscription. So this one here, Jade Summer, I've seen her name around a few times, CreateSpace, independently published. which as we know by now is KDP. That one's ranked 18,000 as well, so you can see the demand if you can create these colouring books. The harder it is to create, the fewer people are doing it, so the more potential profit there is. And that's why I love creating these higher content books like guest books and puzzle books and colouring books, and of course logbooks. So here you go, there's some of the fonts that you could have used. And as I say, the plans for Creative Fabrica are fairly cheap. I'll leave another link in the description. In the follow-up to this video, we're going to be designing a front cover for one of these colouring books that we have just created.